And the AD, Sean Johnson, has joined us inside Coach Todd Knight's office.
I know. I feel privileged to be sitting in the head coach's office, the winningest coach in the history of Newberry College.
But you're not sitting in the head coach's chair.
No, you are.
That's right.
So, I'm not sure I'm quite qualified to sit in Todd's
well,
chair.
neither am I.
Yeah.
Neither am I.
But we really appreciate you being here, and very thankful, and just appreciate what you do for football in South Carolina.
Oh, it's our pleasure.
We're just glad that you're here today.
How important is a building like this to what you guys are building?
Yeah, really important. This building is almost a year old, and it's not just a football building. It also houses our outstanding field hockey team and both our outstanding lacrosse teams, men's and women's lacrosse. All those teams nationally ranked last year. So upstairs we have the offices like Coach Knight's office that we're in here now, as well as those coaches' offices. And the administrative staff is up here. And then down underneath are the locker rooms for those 4 sports, and really, really nice locker rooms. And we're very grateful to everybody that donated to the project, and especially Founders Federal Credit Union and Mr. Brumfield and all those great folks that do great things for everybody across the state, but certainly make a big impact here in Newberry College.
Let's give a shout-out to Founders because they really are everywhere. I guess they pretty much kind of started as a smaller operation up in the Lancaster, Rock Hill area, and they really spread their wings across the state. And you mentioned Bruce Brumfield. I mean, he is a guy that loves his sports. He loves the sports here in the state of South Carolina, loves his sports programs, like shows, and he loves the athletic teams across the state.
He does, and I think, not just Bruce, but all the staff, everybody that you meet, they just want to be invested in your community. And we actually gave Bruce an honorary doctorate this past spring, and he was so grateful. But we were just grateful to him because, as I mentioned, they have a branch here on campus. They help with financial literacy with our students. They have a branch here in town. I mean, I think the thing that I just love about Founders is the impact they make, not just, obviously on Newberry College and Newberry College athletics, but the impact they make in our community, which is so important.
So what else is on the drawing board at this point?
Well, in the south end zone, we have the Melvin and Dolly Younts Athletic Performance Center, which we built 4 or 5 years ago. And, and again, there's another great family, the Younts family, who's made such an impact across the state, but made a huge impact on us, built brand new weight room athletic training facility that we use, obviously, every single day. And really the last piece of the puzzle to Setzler Field is the West Side Grandstand, where most of our fans sit. Those bleachers have been there, I'm going to say, an awfully long time. I think that'd be the understatement of the half century.
Yep.
And, our goal is to eventually, hopefully in the next couple of years, we want to tear those down, rebuild it, build a new press box. And when we built Founders Federal Credit Union Fieldhouse, we also rebuilt the bleacher seating here on the east side. So really it's a much nicer place to watch the game from. We have 3 suites in this building that we rent out, and fans can rent those out and watch games, and it's a great place to do things. We're a small college, but we like to do things in a big way if we can. And I think we're getting fairly close to hopefully reaching our goal where we can start that next project. And again, it doesn't just impact the football program. Both our lacrosse teams play here in field hockey, and it's just a great gathering place for our community. And that's a great thing about being in Newberry. We're a big fish in a small pond, and people love what we do, and we love how our community supports us.
Absolutely. And across the board with your athletic program, too. I think about what you've been doing in baseball, and you had a turnover, of course, in your baseball head coaching position. But you promoted from within, and so I guess you imagined that transition was going to be pretty smooth and just kind of keep the ball rolling with what Coach Triplett was able to build here.
Yeah, absolutely. We hated to lose Coach Triplett, but we also feel blessed that we had him as long as we did. And obviously, he's really a legend in this state, from the Columbia area. Of course, his dad was a very successful coach, and then, played on some great Clemson baseball teams, and really got our baseball program back to where it needed to be and did a terrific job. And I think, him going to the Citadel, that's a perfect fit for Russell. It really is in so many ways. Keeps him in the state, which I think is really important to him. And I think how the Citadel does things is the way Russell likes to do things. But what we were really fortunate to do is we were able to promote Jay Snyder, our associate head coach, who had been here a year longer than Russell. So when Russell took the job, he kept Jay. Mm-hmm. And I think that was a great move, and Jay just does a terrific job. So we're expecting to be really a seamless transition, and talking to our student athletes, as we always do before we make a decision like that. they were so on board. In fact, Zach Kelly, who pitches for the Boston Red Sox, is a Newberry College alum, he sent me a text right after this all went down. The only thing he did is he sent me a picture of Jay, as is to tell me this is our guy.
This is it.
And he was right.
Yeah.
And Zach's a great former player here, and we're just so excited that he's getting his chance to compete in the big leagues with the Red Sox. And it was kind of cool just to get that text from me. He just had a picture of Jay, and I'm like, Zach, you and I are thinking the same thing. So we're really excited to have Jay, stay on our staff. This is his 15th year, and he's just going to take that Russell Triplett legacy and just build on it.
Absolutely. So, so much transition taking place at the highest level with everything that's gone on with college sports. I don't have to sit here and recite everything. I wonder, from where you sit at the D2 level, do you have some of the same headaches that your D1 counterparts might have? Do you really have to worry about NIL at this level? Do you really have to worry that much about the transfer portal? I know you've had some come and go out of here, but is it as big an issue with you guys as it is for the bigger schools? It's
certainly not as front burner of an issue as it is, at South Carolina or Clemson or any of the other Division I schools. But we've been impacted a little bit. I think the most obvious example is Mario Anderson, who left here and went to USC, and then now he's at Memphis. And good for Mario. We're happy for him and the things he did. Great things here, and he continues to do great things. And I'm all about student athletes having the ability to really control their own destiny. And I certainly support that. The transfer portal, I think, is a good thing. I think people will look at it as a negative thing. I don't think that's true, especially for student athletes at our level. If somebody decided to transfer, it was really up to them to kind of get the word out that, hey, I'm looking for a place to go. And now with the transfer portal, people can see that and know that, hey, they want to go to a different place and get a different opportunity. It's tough on coaches, there's no question. But the interesting thing that we found out at the Division II level is now that a lot of Division I schools are not recruiting the high school student athletes as heavily as they used to because they're so invested in the transfer portal. And I'm not saying whether that's right or wrong.
Yeah.
That's just the reality of it. So I think it really helps us in the sense that, we can – and Coach Knight and all of our coaches do a great job of recruiting the state of South Carolina. But I think it even helps us even more because I think there really are some high school kids that get overlooked now.
Sure.
Because the bigger schools are so focused on, hey, I need to be old and stay old. And we need to do that a little bit too. Coach Knight certainly dipped in the transfer portal a little bit at some key positions, but certainly not some of the wholesale changes like you'll see at other schools and the roster turnover. We don't face that quite as heavily. But it's definitely impacted us. NIL. We're looking at some opportunities right now to help our student athletes. Now it's not going to be at the level that student athletes at Division I level are at. But if they get a little bit of money that helps them buy something or a couple extra meals, good for them.
Sure.
If we're able to help them with that, we want to be able to do that.
Now with the move at the Division I level to go to 120 scholarships in football on those rosters and capping it there, but 120 scholarships. Yeah. Compared to the 85 and then your walk-ons, but now you can have 120, and I guess you can give 120 scholarships if that's what you decide to do.
Right.
Does that impact you guys?
I mean, it could, but I think not every school. I mean, certainly every Power 5 school is going to be able to do things like that. But I worked FCS football before. I worked at the University of Idaho. I worked at the University of North Dakota. Not everybody can afford that, and not everybody can do that. So certainly the big boys are going to be able to do what they're capable of doing, but that doesn't mean everybody can do it. It's great to say you have this rule and you have the ability to do it, but can you actually afford that? Can Furman afford to do that? Does Wofford? I don't know the answer to that, right? So, and their rules are probably a little bit different than the FBS schools, but I think there could be some trickle-down effect. But again, I think we're right where we want to be. We love Division II. We love being in the South Atlantic Conference. And we love recruiting South Carolina kids. And we're just so fortunate to be in a state where there are a lot of great student athletes that we can recruit from. I lived in North Dakota for 11 years, and there's just not a lot of folks that live there. So we really had to go far afield to find our student athletes, and we don't have to do that here. That's the beauty about living in this state. So there could be some trickle-down effect, but I don't think it's really going to impact us as much as it maybe will at the FCS level.
Yeah. Well, one last thing, we'll let you go, talking to Sean Johnson, the AD at Newberry. So you have history with South Carolina.
Yeah, one game. So I was a sports information director many years ago at New Mexico State, and we came down for the season opener of Lou Holtz's second year, and we had a pretty good football team for our level.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we were playing quote unquote FBS football, but certainly not at the level of an SEC team. And I was just blown away by the fact that, you know, South Carolina hadn't won a game the year before, and they just weren't very good.
They were 0-21.
Yeah, they had lost, and we come into Columbia, and the place is packed, and it's rocking. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, going, "Holy man, this fan base is incredible." And I just want to say, listen, I don't have a dog in the fight when it comes to South Carolina and Clemson, so don't take me there.
Yeah.
But it just blew me away how dedicated the fan base was, how loud they were. We were just talking. Kerry Tharp was the sports information director at the time at USC. And I remember being in the press box, and it's moving back and forth, and I'm kind of going, "What's going on here?" People are going, "It's okay. This is what happened."
Yeah. And
it was a very close game, and South Carolina won. And you and I were talking about off the air, you know, they tore down the goalposts. But it was – and I've been fortunate because when you work at places like New Mexico State, North Texas, and North Dakota, you're going to play those money games. Mm-hmm. So I've been to A&M, I've been to LSU, I've been to Georgia, I've been some places. But South Carolina, the atmosphere and their fans, it's definitely in my top 5. I mean, I was just so impressed with the fan base and – the passion and the loyalty, again, for a football team at the time that obviously was not very good and had lost, 20-21 in a row, and it just kind of blew me away.
Yeah. Well, on behalf of Gamecock fans and Lou Holtz, they want me to thank you for bringing New Mexico State in so they could beat somebody and get that off their back. They actually went on to have a very good year.
Yeah,
you know, they went to back-to-back back-to-back Outback Bowls. Yeah.
And we gave them a good game.
Yeah.
You know, I want to say it was a 3 or 4 point game. Buck Pierce was our quarterback, who's a good friend of mine. He's offense coordinator for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and won a few Grey Cups. And so it was a heck of a game and a great experience. We loved it.
Well, thanks for having us here.
Yeah, well, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us in this beautiful building.
Yeah,
I've been meaning to get over here. I'm glad I got a chance to be in here, and we'll see you soon and have a great football season.
Appreciate it. Thanks for all you do for us.
Thank you. Sean Johnson, AD, here at Newberry.